Hi, Mr. Richards here. Today's lesson is on using the percent equation. What you will learn is how to solve percent problems using percent equations and how to solve real-world problems involving taxes. Now, some of you may have already used the percent proportion. Now, if we remember our percent proportion to solve questions, it was part over whole equals the percent as a whole number over 100. Now, if we really think about the percent over 100, say 50%, as a decimal, 50% is 0.5 or 0.50. Now let's convert our proportion here into our equation. If we write this as part over whole equals just our percent. But our key here is our percent in the equation needs to be written as a decimal. So percent written as a decimal. That's going to be one of our differences between the proportion and the equation. The proportion, we could just use the whole number, percent. Here we're going to use the percent as a decimal. Now, what if I want to solve and get rid of this fraction? Let's go ahead and multiply each side by the whole. So if we once again have our part over whole equals percent, what we can do is multiply both sides here by the whole. And a neat thing happens. That cancels. And we're left with part equals our percent times the whole. Now this form here, part equals our percent, remember written as a decimal, times the whole, this is our percent equation. And it comes from our percent proportion. So we can solve questions using a proportion or the equation, and this lesson is on solving the problems using the percent equation. So what if we want to find what number is 8 8/10% of 20? Well, let's remember that our percent equation is part equals percent times the whole. Now, if you want, we used is as our part before, so is equals percent times of. If that helps you as you set up those problems, you can certainly use that as well. Now, what number is? We don't know that yet. We don't know our part, so we're looking for our part equals our percent. Now remember, 8.8% needs to be written as a decimal. And just because there's a decimal in the percent doesn't already make it a decimal, so we need to get this number into decimal form by moving the decimal point 2 spots to the left to have a result of 0.088 times our whole of 20. And 0.088, or 88 thousandths, times 20 is 1 76 hundredths. What about 38% of 22? Once again, part equals percent times whole. We're given our percent, so 38% is 0.38. Our whole is 22, the of 22. And it's going to be x equals 0.38 times 22. Well, 38 hundredths times 22 is 8 36 hundredths. And that's our solution. Let's continue. 20 is what percent of 25? Well, part equals our percent times our whole. 20 is, well, is our part, so 20 equals what percent? I don't know. That's going to be our x of 25. That's our whole, so times 25. Now we need to solve for x, so divide by 25 on both the left and the right sides, so it cancels on the right. And your result is whatever 20 divided by 25 is, and that is 0.8 equals x. Now let's get that into a percentage form for our answer. And if we take our 0.8 and move our decimal point 2 spots to the right, that becomes 80%. Not 8%, but 80%. Well, what percent of 25 is 19? Well, once again, part equals percent times our whole. Is 19, and that's our part. We're looking for our percent of 25, that's our whole. What percent of 25 is 19? Well, second straight problem, we'll divide by 25 on both the left and the right sides, so that we result in 19 divided by 25, and that is 0.76 equals x. And to get this back into a percentage, move our decimal to the right 2 times to have our result of 76%. Let's write our percentage answers using the percent sign, not just decimals. Now as we look to find 70 is 28% of what number? Part equals percent times the whole. 70 is, well, that's our part, equals our percent. 28% is 0.28 as a decimal times x. To simplify this one, divide by the 28 hundredths on both sides. Now, before we divide this, should we expect a bigger or smaller answer? Well, when you divide 70 by a whole number, you break that into smaller parts, but as we break or divide this into a decimal, you should expect a bigger number. And sure enough, 70 divided by 28 hundredths is 250. So 250 equals x. And that should make sense. 70 is 28% of a larger number, and that larger number here is 250. 16% of what number is 84? Well, once again, part equals our percent times the whole. 16% of what? Well, 16% is 0.16, so 0.16 of what number? So times x is 84. 84 is our part. Well, once again, divide by the 16 hundredths on both the left and the right side of our equation. And again, we should expect a bigger number than 84 here. And sure enough, 84 divided by 16 hundredths is 525 equals x. So 16% of 525 is 84. Chad wants to buy a cell phone that cost $180. If 7% sales tax is added, what is the total cost? And not a question mark there, so let's add a question mark there. Now there's 2 methods for solving this question. First, we can find the tax and then add it, or we can find the total percentage first. Now if we consider our percent equation. That is part equals percent times whole. Well, a tax is a part of the whole. So we could really say, okay, our tax is going to equal our percentage, which 7% as a decimal is 0.07 or 7/100, so 7/100 times our whole of 180. So our tax amount here is 7% of 180, and 7/100 times 180 is $12.60. Well, that's the tax. Let's add that back into the price of our cell phone. So 180 added to $12.60 is $192.60. So method 1, we used the percent equation to find the tax, and we added it back. In method 2, we're going to find the total percent first. Well, we're finding tax. That's something we're going to add to the whole price. So we're going to take our whole price, 100%, we're going to add our 7%. So if we find 107% of our cell phone cost, that will be the amount that includes the 7% tax. Well, once again, we can use our percent equation that our tax, and actually it's not going to be necessarily the tax this time, it's going to be our total, is going to equal our percent times the whole. And so our total is going to equal 107% as a decimal is 1 7/100. Rewrite that there since it kind of smeared a little bit. 1 7/100 times the whole of 180. And as you multiply this, it shouldn't be a surprise that 1 7/100 times 180 is $192.60. So this is really about your preference. Do you prefer to find the tax first, then add it? Or do you prefer to add the tax, make it 107%, and multiply by that? It's really a matter of choice, and you could use either method or even both if you wanted to check in order to solve these problems. Let's move on to our last example. Mr. Wilkins purchased a DVD player for $97.19, including tax. The DVD player had a sticker price of $89.99. What percent sales tax did he pay? And once again, we have two methods. Method 1 will be using the percent equation to find the percent of sales tax. And method 2 is divide the total cost of the DVD player by the sticker price. Well, let's calculate to see what our tax actually was. Well, if he paid $97.19 with tax, and the sticker price was $89.99, if I subtract the $97.19 by the $89.99, I would get $7.20. Well, that's $7.20. That is the tax amount. Now we can use the percent equation to find the percent of sales tax. Remember, our percent equation is part equals percent of the whole times the whole, so that our tax equals percent times the whole. Well, we already know our tax amount. We know that's $7.20. We're looking for our percent times our whole, in this case, $89.99. So, divide both sides by $89.99. And the $7.20 divided by $89.99 is, and we'll estimate here, or we'll round, pardon my, is 0.08 equals x, which is just 8%. So 8% sales tax. Now method 2 involves dividing the total cost of the DVD player by the sticker price. So we're going to say T equals the total cost of the DVD player was $97.19 by the $89.99, and that is 1.08, and it continues on, but 1 8/100. Well, this means that the total price was 108% of the $89.99. Well, 100% plus 8% gets us there. The 100% was the DVD player without the tax, so our tax is simply 8%. So again, it's a matter of preference of which method you would like to use. That is it. Good luck.